I think it's time to visit these like 2025 cold outreach flows where you start with cold email and then you move on to a LinkedIn step and then, a phone call reschedule. This feels outdated given that the average cold email response rate is 0.5%. And let's face it, the majority of those are going to be out of office and not interested. So, look, if you have a market of 20,000 buyers, you're selling to every dental practice in the country. Okay, great. Like email all the way. You can live and thrive even if you have 0.5% reply rate and only a quarter of those are positive. But if you don't have 20,000 buyers to sell to, I think we need to revisit this playbook. I want to show you like the outbound flow, if you will, that we're basically using and thinking about in 2026. So we're going to begin on LinkedIn and consider there's a couple of different groups here of buyers. Some of them are active on LinkedIn and they've shown a buying signal. This can be, they visit your profile, they engage with a competitor's post. Signals is another discussion, but imagine you've got this strong signal and you know that they're active on LinkedIn. Okay, so a step one before you do anything is just double check. Are they really the right job title, seniority, company? Sales nav is not perfect, so we always do a check. Verify the signal that you're using to do the outreach. And then if there's really something interesting that they're posting about recently that's relevant that you can weigh in on, okay, great. Leave a real comment. Don't force it. If it's really nothing that's like in your wheelhouse, skip this step. It boosts by like 2%, so don't freak out here. You're going to send a connection request. This group, you should be in the 40 to 50% connection request acceptance range. And then your very first DM, it's going to have the most personalization you send, as well as kind of the sharpest message you got. This is going to be your first real impression. So over personalize and make sure that you're starting the conversation off as best as possible. Don't really feel the need to send 5 DMs after this. We're sending about 3 follow-ups, sometimes 4. But what's interesting is the first and second DM is going to have the majority of your responses. So don't waste those. Don't, put kind of fillers, just bump in this. Treat that well. And then what happens if they don't engage with this group? If they accept your connection requests, we've done a lot of testing. Following up with an email actually doesn't lift a lot. My guess is if they're active on LinkedIn and they accept your connection request and they get your DM, they're probably going to see your DM. And if that really personalized message just didn't get it, it's probably a timing issue or a fit issue. It's not that they need a different channel. I would hold before you email this group. All right, so what happens if they don't accept your connection requests? Most connection requests are accepted within 10 days, like 80%. 10 days go by. If they're going to ever accept it, it's going to happen within the first 10 days. So my advice is just wait a week and then switch channels if they are showing some buying signals elsewhere. That gives you confidence that this is the right time to reach out to them. Okay, and so you'd want to send 2 emails, and I'm going to recommend only 2 because we actually are sending more emails from real inboxes as opposed to the fake, no link, no tracking pixel, not a real domain, not a real person. We send a small number of these really personalized emails that I don't want to have a bunch of follow-up touches that would kind of just deteriorate the effectiveness. And because the messages are very personalized and the list is signal based, you should have like that. If the timing's right, you should see a much better response than the industry average of like 0.5%. We're probably right. I think that's just the stat for volume cold email, and right now deliverability is just a nightmare for that email at scale thing. Okay, so let's go to the next kind of bucket here. What do you do when you've got a otherwise good buyer, but their LinkedIn is kind of a ghost town? So before anything, we check out the profile. If there's no posts, do you really want to waste your, limited number of LinkedIn connection requests that week on ghost town profiles? In the past, I would have said like try it, but looking at some of our data, we have seen that 80 to 90% of the folks that do end up accepting a connection request, they've got active profiles. We can look to see, are they liking or posting, or even folks in your second degree network. That's a good kind of signal. Ghost town ones with 89 connections, and it's clear they haven't updated since 2006. Like, I don't recommend wasting any of your connection requests on them. So we're going to go email route for these folks. Again, like if it's really intent based, 2, maybe 3 emails spaced out kind of accordingly here. The close the loop email is important. I think even today in 2026, the breakup kind of psychology still helps us. But I don't recommend doing this without personalization, like real personalization. People's AI like kind of spam filter is so high right now. Like we have this guard up. I think it's very important to just send a real email from, show you've done your homework if you want that to work. And then there's a last group. This is kind of a smaller one, but there's always going to be a portion of your buyers who have what's called like an open profile on LinkedIn. It's indicated on the profile where you can send them like a free email, basically. This group, you should definitely take advantage of the open profile. It's going to save your connection requests, and you can follow up on this group with email. And what's nice is like I'm always trying to almost like reduce the number of emails that are being sent so that deliverability always is a non-issue. And so if you can send an open profile, it's going to save a LinkedIn touch. I would do that first and then only follow up should you not get a response back there. So just kind of a look. I didn't discuss like paid emails. Those have a place here. But for now, this is kind of how I'm thinking the kind of like proper outreach signal is going to work. I'll add something here where like if anyone does send a response with like meeting intent, the rules of engagement change dramatically. You're going to want to use all 3 channels, LinkedIn, email, and phone, at your disposal sooner than later. I see a lot of, let's say, recommendations online that says you got to call them within 15 minutes. What's interesting is if you're doing LinkedIn outreach, or even like any kind of outreach as the founder or VP or a C-level as like the face of the outreach, it actually looks weird if a C-level responds within 15 minutes. Like there's almost a, I don't think this is true, or oh my goodness, they are really, just in a hunting mode right now, that it kind of feels off. The only exception is if you're doing outreach from like a proper SDR role, in which case it's natural for them to immediately respond. But I've actually seen like, as we're working on behalf of like the C-suite, it can backfire if you respond within 5 minutes. It's like, really, would a CFO share their calendar link within 5 minutes of me showing interest? Like something's off. So I actually like relax that time window when we're working for let's say senior profiles, and I allow like a couple hours so that it just feels more natural. You're checking it on your lunch break, you're being engaged, but you're also not like on the keyboard ready to pounce, it can kind of backfire on us. But with that said, for those looking to meet, don't be afraid to look up their phone number, call the office, just ask if they don't engage within a day to either your LinkedIn messages or emails. But in short, stay on the channel where they showed their first engagement. Keep it really easy so you can ask for their Cal link, share yours, or ask for a time next week. You really just want to do baby steps as you're kind of nurturing those people that are coming in. But hopefully this is helpful as you're kind of thinking about your outbound flow here. All right, have a good day.